I admire what you're doing with your book. So tell us a little bit about the speaking that you're doing and how it's received and the difference in talking to a business audience and to a youth audience. Just what are the little idiosyncrasies that you found?
Well, thank you, and you bring up once again a great distinction because one of the things that I know that Tony wants people to do when they come hear him speak and do his events is apply what you learn, and most people do not apply what they learned. I did, and I know a lot of people that did. So, when I talked to had another conversation with a business person the other day, I said there shouldn't be any unemployment in this country. Everybody could work for themselves. If they're not doing anything, they could do something to employ themselves. And I said that's one of the things that really frustrates me. So when I speak, you have different audiences, and like you probably, you have different constituencies. If it's a business talk, I really talk about these lessons and strategies from that day and how they can apply towards their either department or their company. But I always give a point of inspiration likewise, because I think one of the things people are looking for now is hope. And I talk about that in every one of my talks. So that's consistent through my talks. But when I'm talking to like an athletic team, I give them examples about how to drive towards the mission. And that day it was all outcome focused. If you talked to whether it's Captain Sullenberger or myself or other people, focusing on the outcome instead of focusing on the different actions. So every talk I talk to has a different focus. Like tomorrow I'm speaking in Minneapolis. And it's for the Red Cross. I do a lot for the Red Cross, and it could be more about the contribution and giving back and having gratitude for what we have. So I really do a lot of research before I talk to somebody and do a speaking event. So I make sure I understand what the driving force is, so I can tailor my talk with the key points that happened that day, but always keeping a consistent message of hope.
So that I think is an important point that you've made. Hope is always there, and I've always thought the same way, Dave. But then I am an entrepreneur. I've never worked for anybody in my entire life.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Well, I don't know because I
Yeah.
certainly gave up a lot. I didn't, have my benefits. I didn't have my paid anything. Everything I have, I worked for. But you know, it's kind of difficult when you meet people who say, "Well, what could I possibly do?" and who would possibly want my services. And whether you're a handyman or you're a woman who can be a personal assistant, or I mean, there's so many opportunities out there today that never were there before because people are so busy. They're doing so many things. I mean, I wrote down in my wish list yesterday, as a matter of fact, I wrote down, I wish I had a personal chef, a personal trainer. I mean, I've had a lot of personal trainers, but I want one that comes to my house like, 5 days a week. A personal trainer, personal chef, and a personal assistant. Those would be my three biggest things that I wish for. And people could make a good living doing that all the time. So if they were a personal assistant for someone or a trainer that showed up every day at five people's homes 5 days a week, they could make a really good living at that. Or if they were a personal chef. So I agree with you totally as far as that's concerned. So what have kids said to you? Because you speak to the youth, and I'm really interested in what kind of reaction the youth have to you.
Yeah, the youth, it's amazing. First, I have to admit, the youth were more fascinated by about the media and the TV and all that stuff. And once you get through all that stuff, then what I found what they're really interested in is looking to me as a potential mentor. Because I talk to kids a lot about finding your mentor. And I tell them my story about my first mentor back in the early 90s. His name was Bill, and he just came upon me. It was like my guardian angel. He just came into my life and taught me those life lessons of his 50 to 60 years of experience, which all of a sudden you model that, and all of a sudden you can do something he's taken 60 years to do, and you can do it now. And I talk about that lesson. I think that's what really attracts my talk to the youth, whether it's athletic teams or colleges or high schools or youth groups, wherever it may be, because I think a lot of these kids are looking for, they need that person in their life to give them those insights. They're not their parents that can give them those insights of their experience, but they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to go about doing it. So I give them some ideas on how I did it, and all of a sudden I had Bill, and all of a sudden Tony came into my life, and I had a mentor like Tony Robbins who took me under his wing, who were the same age. Tony and I the same age, but he's had all those years of experience of helping people, and all of a sudden I can take his experiences and use them to help people too. So that's the one message that I think resonates more than anything. Find a mentor and how to do it.
And it's interesting because Tony came from nothing as well.
Right.
So he built himself up. Well, now, where can people find your book? Let's do that first of all. Where can they buy your book? Moments Matter. Let's give them that.
Well, thank you. So the easiest way is if you go to my website, davesandersonspeaks.com. We have a page there. Just you can order that book and my previous one that I'm contributed to called Brace for Impact. And one of the things, if you do that, I'll personalize the book for you and we'll make sure you get it out personally. And hopefully in the short term we're negotiating some opportunities for some bookstores. But right now the best way is to come to me directly on my website, save Dave Sanderson Speaks, and we'll make sure you get it.
Okay, so everybody, that's Dave, D-A-V-E, Sanderson, S-A-N-D-E-R-S-O-N, Speaks, S-P-E-A-K-S.com. And if you want to learn more about Dave himself, you can go to that same website and find out. And if you want to book him as a speaker or for an event, you can do that as well at that point. So how are you getting your speaking engagements now, Dave? Are you going through agents? Are you going through speakers bureaus? How are you finding the engagements?
Perfect question, because I use all the above. And one of the things that one of the people Tony put in my life years ago was a gentleman named Jay Abraham. And I don't even know who Jay Abraham is, but he's one of the top marketing people in the world.
Yes, I know Jay. He's like a guru in the marketing world.
He's the guru guy. And he sort of took me under his wing and gave me some thoughts on how to do it. So I took his approach. So yes, I work with some speaking bureaus. I do have some agents that I work with out there. I do a lot of personal stuff myself. So I believe in Jay's approach. You have to have like 12 legs working at all times. So if one or two of them knock down, you always have 10 more working for you. So I'm up to 8 legs right now. I haven't got my 12 legs yet, but I'm working on it. But I think that's the approach that I take. Is I work through the Red Cross. I work with agents. I work with universities. I work with other speakers, because speakers are a great avenue. I can help them get engaged, just like you try to help me get engaged. So it's I have 8 legs going. The goal is 12.
Well, let me ask you something. Are you a member of the National Speakers Association?
I am currently not, but I just spoke for the NSA in Connecticut, which opened my eyes to some things about the NSA that I did not know, because I've heard a lot of things about the NSA. So I'm now very interested in looking at what they do and how I can add value to them.
You should do that. I've been a member since 1980, and of course they will be having their conference in Phoenix in July. So you should take a look at that, because I think you'd enjoy it and they would enjoy you. And for any of our listeners, that's nsaspeaker.org. That's where you can find that. Well, Dave, I just think there are so many things. We have about 2 minutes left. What else would you like to tell our audience that we haven't talked about?
Well, thank you. I just think that right now, with the way things are situated in the country, it's sort of like it was in 2009, where there wasn't a lot of positive things, there's a lot of negativity, a lot of things that are going on that weren't really adding up, and all of a sudden this happened. This plane crash happened, and it showed people that there is hope. There is, if everybody works together, does the right thing, checks their egos at the door, and focuses on other people's outcomes, all of a sudden you have an outcome like this, which 155 people who should have perished are now out around the world sharing the message of what happened that day. And so I think this is a lot like it was in 2009. So focus on helping other people and gratitude, and sort of filtering all the stuff that's going on, and know that there is hope out there. And if you do the right thing, everything will come together. It may not come together exactly the way you want, but ultimately you'll get to where you need to be. And if you're a part of that, then that's something that you can hang your hat on and help other people get to what their outcomes are.
Well, that sounds great. And I know that our listeners will enjoy your book. And I'm going to remind them again, go to his website, davesandersonspeaks.com. You can find out how to book him as a speaker. You can find out about his book. You can find out about a lot of things that he's involved with. So I think it would do you a lot of good just to go there and find out what Dave is all about. It's a fascinating story, Dave, and you're telling it well. And I think that everybody who's listening and everybody who comes in contact with you and the organizations that you speak to are better off by knowing you and hearing you and really getting the message that you have. There's hope for everybody. So thanks for being with us today, and best wishes for the future.
Thank you. God bless you, and God bless your audience.